I just wrapped an incredible event with Travelers Insurance where I had over 1,000 military spouses RSVP and attend. But the real question is why? Why did this many military spouses want to consider working at Travelers? And it could be that they offer PCS continuity for select remote roles, but it also could be their amazing portfolio of benefits, which start on day one. Alternatively, it might actually be their 50 plus locations that are great for our stationary military connected individuals. I'm Kimber Hill, and this is my Military Spouse Lifestyle Show, where I cover topics about remote work, real estate, your military benefits, and in general, thriving in active duty life. Let's check out this episode to see if Travelers Insurance could be the employer for you. I want to show you what I just completed for the last 90 minutes. I am fresh out of this recruiting event, and it's so important for me to be able to relay to you everything that I learned about Travelers Insurance. So an overview of what we covered in this live meeting were, first of all, why Travelers Insurance is an amazing organization to work for. Second of all, who is InsuraMatch and how are they connected to Travelers Insurance? Third, we talked to a military spouse about her experience working for InsuraMatch under the Travelers Insurance umbrella. And then we bring on the Travelers Talent Acquisition team to talk about open remote roles that are targeted toward our active duty community who are frequently PCSing. And then we get on with another talent acquisition team member and talk about open roles throughout the entire company that are nationwide at one of their 50 plus physical locations. So Travelers Insurance very well could be the employer for you. And when you dive into this particular recruitment event replay, what you're going to see is an array of benefits that will make any person froth at the mouth over how well this company takes care of their employees. The saying goes, when you start at Travelers Insurance, you retire at Travelers Insurance. So could this be the employer for you? Let's press play, watch the video, and I'll be back at the end to give you next steps. Hi, everybody. What's up? I'm very excited to be here with you today. My mission is to connect our military spouses to meaningful, portable, flexible careers. And we've been working with Travelers for quite some time. They have been one of the most impactful partners in doing exactly that. Together, we've seen over 200 military spouses hired at Travelers and InsuraMatch. So, and these are people directly from the military spouse community at VirtForce, directly from the VirtForce community step into careers with Travelers. So give me a thumbs up if you think that's incredible in the chat. I mean, it's incredible. It speaks volumes about how committed they are to the military connected workforce. And I'm excited because today I get to show you some of that, and you also get to hear firsthand from another military spouse exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, they're walking the walk of the military spouse employment. So today you're going to hear directly from the Travelers team about a few things. Number one, about the company, their benefits, their culture, and the wide range of opportunities available. And number two, we're going to introduce you to a military spouse who is currently thriving in her role. And we want you to hear from her about the career paths that are open to the veteran and veteran spouses as well. I first want to introduce all of you to Julie Galloway from Travelers. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Kimber. Thank you. I think he just called me old. No, I'm joking. She means we have been acquaintances for quite a while, which I love. So I know they, as the VirtForce team, have already thanked you for being here today. But on behalf of Travelers and my colleagues that I have joining me today, we just want to thank you as well to have over, close to 400 of you express interest in learning more about our company. Like that's a privilege. So thanks for inviting us, and thank you guys for your interest in hearing more about our company. Just a little bio of myself. I have been here at Travelers. I celebrated my 9th anniversary in September, so I'm, in year 10. It sounds crazy. that by traveler standards is probably still makes me kind of a newbie because I can tell you there are plenty of people here at Travelers that have built a much longer standing career, 25, 30 plus years, etc. Like many people, I ended up in insurance by accident. I am a 30 plus year talent acquisition professional, have worked for various companies over the years, but I had landed here at Travelers in 2016. Love it here. I myself have had a little bit of career progression during the 9+ years here, and God willing, I'm going to stay here until I retire, Kimber. So you might be talking to me for a couple years to come. So, but again, talent acquisition here at Travelers, and I'm working on my 10th year.
Thank you so much, Julie. Can you give us a big picture overview of Travelers and why this particular company stands out?
Yeah, 100%. So just to go very broad. So Travelers, we are a property and casualty insurance carrier. So we're not life insurance, we're not health insurance. So I always start, very broadly. So when you think of your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance, or any insurance that a business would need to protect themselves, right? Commercial auto, property, workers' compensation, general liability, that's us. We are 170 years strong. So I always say Travelers was here long before me. I have no doubt that they're going to be here long after I finish my career. A lot of you had mentioned in your verbal explanation of what you're looking for in a company, as well as I noticed in the chat, financial stability, or financial strength and stability, however you want to chunk that up. And I would say Travelers offers both, right? I'm the type of person that I love working for a legacy company that has that long-standing history. Some people might be like, oh, well, then those types of companies are slow to change or whatever the case. For me, I like the stability. And I love working for a company that has a strong reputation in the industry. Just even not that long ago. And from a military base perspective, to give you a little bit of geographical points, I live in Kansas. So if I'm about an hour from Fort Riley, I'm about an hour and a half from Fort Leavenworth. So here in the Flint Hills of Kansas. But I got 2 unsolicited kudos from people in the community about 3 months ago about Travelers. And you have to know, I live in a very small community. So that, Kimber, it warmed my heart, right? It made me proud to work here. So you'll hear us reference a couple times throughout our conversation today that Travelers' overall mission is taking care of our customers. Our customers are our policyholders, the people we insure, taking care of our communities and taking care of each other. So we'll reference that throughout. And so hopefully you get a good feel of the culture here at Travelers.
Awesome. So if it sounds good to you, for everybody listening today, who here wants to work for a company that makes you feel good, makes you feel proud about the work that you're doing? So other than, the mission and how they're executing and the way that their clients feel about them, let's talk about what's important to you, which are the benefits. And I know that I've probably said it 100 times just this year, but I'll say it again. You guys know, if you know me, you know how I feel about Travelers benefits. They are definitely the GOAT for benefits, especially if you're the type of person who's eligible for the remote work. I've never seen anything like it. So I think we should let Julie take a moment and talk through what some of the most meaningful benefits are that they offer. Julie, could you guide us through that?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kimber. We are very proud of the benefits that we offer. And really the goal is to assist people at all stages in their life. As we talk through some of the things today, whether it be the details about the job opportunity that we offer or the details of our benefits, we're not going to be perfect for everybody, right? So we're going to share with you truthfully what our job is and what the obligations are in hopes that, it would be the right career path for some. But similar to our benefits, like if you said, Julie, do you take advantage of every benefit that Traveler has to offer? I'd be like, well, no, because right now I'm not in the mood to adopt a child, so I don't need adoption assistance, right? So, but my point is, we have benefits that cover the gamut of life. And I know you guys have good benefits through the military, so I don't want to downplay that. But it is likely that you would find something amongst our benefit offerings that could supplement what you have, or just something that could be advantageous to your family that you might not have. Some of you have talked about paid time off. So again, this wouldn't just be a job, it would be a career. With that career comes, the long-term planning. One, rewarding you with paid time off, right? We work hard, but we also want to be able to enjoy a work-life balance. So for our full-time employees, we start at 20 days annually per calendar year. I'll be honest, I'm hitting year 10 in 2026. So that means Julie gets bumped up to 26 days annual PTO, and I'm pretty excited about that. 401k eligibility for that starts right away, and Travelers offers a 5% match. So when you think about having something of your own that you're proud of, right? Now you've already got your own paid time off. Now you're already starting, your own retirement plan. And so again, for our 401k, we encourage everyone to at least participate at the amount so you don't miss out on the company match contribution. Pension, Kimber likes to talk about that as well, which we appreciate. Many companies have eliminated having a pension because maybe, separately they consider their contribution to 401k to be enough, but Traveler still offers a pension, and they make a contribution to each of our accounts annually. And then just kind of overall PCSing, right? The advantage of working at Travelers, if you are an active mil spouse, is you're not stopping and restarting your career each time you change locations with your service person, right? So you're taking our job with you. You move, but you stay in the same job working for Travelers. So hopefully that was enough to get the conversation going, Kimber, and I'll toss it back to you because I know we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. Can I get some emojis in the chat for these amazing benefits? You can use whatever emoji you want to describe them and how you feel about it. And I can elaborate. The PCS process that they have in place is an actual written process that they are executing for their military spouses. So it involves where your equipment is sent, how your equipment is sent, and it's specific for the active duty spouse who's eligible for remote work at Travelers. All right. So I wanted to touch on the mentorship component, Julie, because we didn't really get there yet. But a lot of the people who are on this call were discussing in the icebreaker, in the chat, and on screen that it's not just about career continuity, but it's about personal growth. So can you tell us a little bit about leadership development within the organization? I know it's a big part of Travelers, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say there's so many ways we could go with this conversation, but we do annual performance reviews for our employees. So you know where you stand, you know what your goals are, you know what you're working towards to try to achieve the highest level you can, every day, every month, every year here at Travelers. So you're having those meaningful conversations with your manager. We also have something called Career Hub, which helps you kind of map your career and where you might want to advance to throughout. And we'll talk later about, is every job here at Travelers remote? And to be honest, the answer is no. But as you're going to hear from Catherine, a mill spouse that has had some career progression since she's been with us, she's one of several people who have had paths like that. So it's a starting point. It isn't always where the story ends. We also have a large training platform called My Skills. So it's tools for self-development, because maybe I, Julie, want to go out and hone a certain skill so that I can better position myself for a promotion in the future. Again, large company, lots of resources, don't want to downplay it, but it's a big question, Kimber. But I also just wanted to mention that the job you're doing is impactful. I talked earlier about our mission, right? Taking care of our customers, our communities, and each other. Just last week was what's dubbed Customer Service Week. And so all over the country and company, we heard testimonials from customers who had an interaction with one of our client-facing, our customer-facing representatives here at Travelers, and just the impact that they are making in their day-to-day interaction with the people that we insure is so impressive. So just want everybody to know that even though it's a starting point, the job is still, you're making an impact not only for us as a company, but on the people that you serve, which would be our customers. So. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Everybody, please give Julie a great big thank you in the chat. We want to say thank you to her as she rounds out what we had her to come on to talk about today. Julie, as always, it was a huge pleasure to hear from you and hear your perspective on the company and what the offering is for people who have the opportunity to join. It is truly unmatched. All right, I'd like to now introduce you all to our friend and guest, Seth. Seth has been with us a couple of times before as we recently learned about InsureMatch, and he's going to be here and talk to us about the InsureMatch division. So Seth, can you tell us a little bit about what InsureMatch is and
Sure.
how does it fit under the Travelers umbrella?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you, Kimber, for having me on again. It's a thrill and a pleasure and really an honor to talk to so many military veterans and their spouses and just be able to find a way to help you guys out, finding great employment. So InsureMatch, who are we? What do we do? We are a national independent insurance agency. Similar to Travelers, we focus on property and casualty insurance. So that means that we insure houses, cars, things, and we are also specifically focused on personal lines insurance. So we don't do commercial line insurance. So we're focused on selling insurance to folks like you to protect your assets and yourself, right? We don't do health insurance and we don't do life insurance. We write in all 50 states. We have over 50 carrier appointments, and we write over 20 personal lines products. So, ultimately, we try to position ourselves to have a good fit for any customer that comes to the door.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So while Travelers owns InsureMatch, you're actually working for InsureMatch if you're with under the InsureMatch umbrella, correct?
Correct. So we are Travelers employees. My paychecks say Travelers. We get access to all the great benefits that Julie went over before.
Okay.
Health insurance on day one, 401k pension, the whole nine. So we're Travelers employees in every sense of the word. InsureMatch was a business prior to joining the Travelers family. So we were acquired by Travelers in 2021. So that's the brand difference. Yeah.
And so the objective is if you are an InsureMatch team member, you're not just trying to sell Travelers insurance. Your objective is to take the inbound call and help the person who's calling in identify the best policy for them. And that could be Travelers, but it could be 50 other different carriers, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So essentially, right, we write for 50 carriers, and we try to find the right lid for every pot, right? And so, essentially, our agents are we talk a lot about doing right by your customer and finding the best fit. Sometimes that is a Traveler's policy. Sometimes that's not a Traveler's policy. Our mindset is we want to be the folks that people think of when they need insurance. And if Travelers isn't a great fit today, they may be in the future, right? So we want to leave that door open and be able to service them today and give them a great experience so they'll come back in the future.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And if I understand correctly, one of the super cool things about working for InsureMatch and in this role specifically is that your team, Seth, actually puts all of the new employees through a training to help them get licensed in order to do the matching, correct?
Correct. So the role is fully paid on day one, which includes your licensing class. So the first 2 weeks of employment, if you're not already licensed to sell insurance, you go through a 1 week of classroom training, right? And you basically are learning everything you need to pass your state exam. The next week, first couple of days of the week, you're going to study, right? It's flashcards and studying all day, every day, with the sole goal of passing that state exam and getting your property and casualty or personal lines license. Once you pass that exam, so you're at the end of week 2, then you head into 4 months of training, right? And so essentially at that point, we train you on everything you need to do the job. So you don't need to come in the door with sales experience. You need to come in the door with insurance experience. We take green, new to the insurance industry folks, and we train them up to have a great career.
I love that. So licensed in under 14 days is a possibility.
Absolutely, with a career ahead of you.
Oh, very cool. Everybody dropped 14 in the chat if you heard that. So what is the sales approach actually like for someone who's coming in, sitting in the InsureMatch seat, and they're licensed, they've done the 4 months of training? What does that sales approach on a day-to-day look like after that point?
Sure. And this is something I'm really, really proud of, right? this is something that my manager, my boss, our CEO, Mark, and I have really crafted and molded over the years, right? And so we call it the family and friends approach. And so when new agents come in the door, the way I describe it is if I were to listen in on one of your phone calls with a customer, I'd want to hear a conversation that I would like to hear taking place with one of my family and friends, or that you'd like to hear taking place with one of your family and friends. So how do we sell? It's a consultative approach with the customer's best interest in mind. We sell people the right amount of insurance for their needs. We don't oversell them. Essentially, we're trying to help that customer navigate a very tough environment. And so I always describe to people, seasoned veteran agents understand what this means, but essentially, if you were to offer advice and do a quote for someone in your family or friends, what kind of conversation would you have with them? When would you point out to them, hey, I think you're underinsured here, or hey, that coverage really doesn't apply to you and you don't need it. Let's take it off and save you the money. And so that's the type of approach we take with our customers.
Okay, I love that. If you are grasping the concept, put family and friends in the chat. Basically, what we're talking about here is how would you help your best friend, or how would you help your mom or your dad understand where their insurance gaps are, right, Seth?
Exactly.
Okay.
And looking out for their best interest. And also, I think a lot of folks view sales and insurance, right, don't necessarily have the best reputations in the world, right? But they really, both environments depend on how you approach it. And so ultimately, folks need insurance. It provides a valuable service. Sometimes insurance companies and the insurance industry gets a bad rap, but we try to change that with having, by having the right conversations with folks and having their best interest in mind.
Perfect. So this doesn't sound like cold calling.
No cold calling. And I'm thankful to be completely out of the cold calling
Again?
world. Yeah. So early in my career, right, we didn't do cold calling. We did warm leads, but it was outbound dialing.
Okay.
And essentially, we don't do anything like that anymore. And if I have my way, and I will, we'll never go back. So essentially, our agents are connected with the customers that are already shopping for insurance. So they're picking up a phone, they're calling, saying, I need help, I need auto insurance, I need home insurance. And so, you're servicing that need, right? And so the customer comes in the door looking to buy the products that you're already selling, right? And as far and 95% of the phone calls you handle are going to be inbound phone calls where the customer is calling you and saying, hey, can you get me some quotes for auto or home insurance or another product like that? Small amount of the calls are outbound dials. And those are following up with the customers that you quoted yesterday, the day before, last week. So those are really follow-up phone calls. You found a price that maybe works for someone. They want to talk to their spouse. They want to compare it to their other coverage. They want to shop around a little bit longer. And so you're offering to say, hey, I'll give you a call back tomorrow around 1:00. And so that's an outbound phone call. That's the direction the phone call goes in, but those are prospects you've already spoken to.
Wow. That's incredible. So if you heard him, drop some ice cubes in the chat if you can find your ice cube emoji. No cold calling, mostly inbound. Did you say 98% inbound?
It's like 95%, I would say. I mean, the truth is, if you're making outbound phone calls, those are great phone calls to make because that means you got a customer that's really interested in your policy and you're looking to follow up and hopefully make a sale.
You're doing like the follow-up call. So that
exactly. Our agents, good agents are making a lot of outbound calls, but ultimately those are a good sign for that agent.
That's the kind of role I could get comfortable in, building the relationships. And I can talk about how for military spouses, a lot of you are military spouses. And one thing that you need to know about our demographic is when we show up in these type of positions, for some reason, I'll tell you what the reason is. The secret is military life and what it conditions us to have to deal with and overcome and cope with. We are some of the most empathetic employees. So what does that mean in translation to how you perform on the job? It means you build relationships really well. Very, very much more performative in the relationship building category than the average civilian. We do have data and metrics on that. And you should be proud of that. You should be proud of your ability to accomplish that based on what that can bring to your employer. So this is the kind of role that I could get comfortable in as a military spouse. We're good at talking to new people. We're good at forging relationships. We're good at understanding and empathizing with what other people are going through and helping them solve their own problems. All right, but I don't just take my word for it. I think that Seth has someone that he wants you all to meet. Seth, could you tell us a little bit more about your perspective on the military spouse demographic and maybe how they're doing on your team?
Sure, sure. So in general, right, I was introduced to the military spouse community by VirtForce probably close to a year ago now. I should have probably looked it up before the call, but close to a year ago now. And I can tell you, we found tremendous success, right? I think I have 10 military spouses on my team today. A couple of them are already moving up through the ranks, and I brought Catherine along as backup to talk to you guys about her great experience with us and her career that is blossoming, right? And so we love our military spouses. The nice thing about this is I do feel like it's a match made in heaven. Our job is a remote job. You can do it anywhere in the country as long as you have great internet, good internet, I should say, not great internet. As long as you have strong internet, a quiet place to work, we can get you set up to continue to do your job. And so, like in Catherine's situation, she started with us as an insurance advisor trainee, the role that we're talking about today. Within a year, she was promoted to be a regular insurance advisor, so a non-trainee. Within a year after that, she's already been promoted to be a senior insurance advisor, and she's gotten an opportunity right now to step in on our training team. So Catherine is currently running training classes for new hires. So you guys may, if you successfully post for one of our roles, you may run into Kat on the in the training circuit, but she is running classes. So that's how well she's grasped the job. And within a few short years, she's starting to move up the ladder. So we're really proud of her and happy for you guys to hear her story.
Yeah, everybody threw a gold medal in the chat for Catherine, who's killing it over there. Let me ask really quick before we bring her on, do you find that her performance is an exception, or do you find that her performance is kind of the rule or the standard of how your military spouses show up?
Sure. And let me brag on Catherine for a little bit. Catherine is exceptional. She has done a fantastic job, has hit the ground running. We felt great about her from day one. That being said, she's not the exception, right? Like I said, we've hired a bunch of military spouses. A few of them, aside from Catherine, are already starting to shine and produce opportunities for themselves to advance. And so certainly not the exception in that sense. I do think this is a really great job for you guys to consider.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Seth, for bragging on your bosses and bragging on Catherine. And what an incredible introduction for Catherine. Actually, are you ready to come on screen, Catherine? I would love to have you on now.
Yes. Hi. How are all of you guys? My name is Catherine Crump. I, just like Seth said, I am a senior insurance advisor. But right now I am standing in as a trainer for InsureMatch. I have been a active duty Army spouse since 2019. We actually met here at Fort Hood, and we have been stuck here ever since. So we are definitely looking forward to our first PCS together next year, hopefully.
Anybody else in Fort Hood? If you're in Fort Hood, let us know in the chat. Catherine, what about this specific role called out to you?
Like many of you guys here, I know what it's like to balance career goals and the unpredictability of military life, including the PCS moves, deployments, and the constant changes that keep us on our toes. So for a long time, I searched for something that was flexible, stable, and something that allowed me to grow professionally while still supporting my spouse's service. I actually found out about this role, well, my previous role that I was in, from another military spouse that worked on the traveler side of the business. And what really stood out to me was her statement that people who work at Travelers retire at Travelers. And so far, that's been my experience, as I feel like a very new rep when it comes to my experience here. I've probably been in the business a lot shorter amount of a time than some of the others, but that speaks, a ton to the business. I'm just super grateful that I found InsureMatch. I get to work remotely, connect with people across the country, and help them find the insurance coverage that truly protects what matters most to them. But beyond the job itself, what really stands out is the culture. This company really values the empathy that you were talking about, flexibility and integrity. These are all the exact qualities that military spouses and families naturally bring to the table.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell me a little bit about your role and what it looks like for all of really, because I want everyone here who's hopeful and looking and considering to be in this role. I want them to understand from your perspective what it's like.
Yeah, so in my role, I also train and I mentor new advisors. I always tell them, success in this field is not about being salesy, like Seth said. It's about being a great listener, a problem solver, and a steady guide for people navigating big life decisions. I've probably been a therapist more so than a sales rep. and that, that is part of the business. I love that we can actually do that in my role. Honestly, it's about, being able to adapt, communicate, and support others. And who can do that better than a military spouse or family member? The skills that we built, resilience, organization, empathy, are exactly what make us thrive in this kind of work. But InsureMatch doesn't just recognize that, they definitely celebrate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you acknowledging the skills that military spouses are known for and kind of discussing how the things that we've developed from our personal life and our personal experiences are actually very applicable to what you do on a day-to-day basis in the role. And so even though the role kind of has the title of sales in the job title, it's not your typical sales role. So thanks for putting clarity behind that. Let me ask you one other thing, Catherine. Do you have any specific pieces of advice for the VirtForce military spouse community?
Pieces of advice. I mean, honestly, if you're looking for a career that moves you, that offers real growth and purpose, something that values, that values a life experience that you already have, I can't recommend InsureMatch enough. It's definitely more than a job. It's a career. It's a community where you're supported and where your voice truly matters. Military life teaches us service, flexibility, and strength. And at InsureMatch, those values are at the heart of everything that we do.
Thank you. All right. If you enjoyed what Catherine had to share and the insight that she brought, please give her some gratitude in the chat. Do that with emojis or just thank her. And I'm very grateful that you chose to show up today, Catherine, and speak to your community. We appreciate you, and we're so grateful for the insight that you gave.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I hope to see some of you guys join our amazing team soon.
Yes, me too. All right, I want to bring back on Seth and Julie because now is really the time that you've all been waiting for. This is our opportunity to talk about the open positions that you can apply for today. So first, I want to talk to our active duty spouses who are moving every few years and who really are seeking the remote role. And yes, you guys heard me correctly. I'm pairing active duty with the word remote. Okay, that's where we are finding eligibility for remote positions, is with those individuals who are geographically required for that. So Seth, can you tell our candidates more about InsureMatch? Because I'm going to be very, blunt for our active duty spouses. InsureMatch is where your remote opportunities are lining up right now. So if you need remote, turn your ears on and listen to Seth.
Sure. So it's a fully remote position, right? And it can be done anywhere in the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. The shift that we're currently hiring for right now is 12:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. That being said, if that's not a good fit for you, I get it. It's not a good fit for everyone. I still recommend you guys put in an application. Ultimately, if we get applications, so we have opportunities in the near future. I still want to get, especially from the MilSpouse community, I want to get you guys interviewed and get you on a list if you're going to be a good fit for us. If you find a better fit, if you find another job in the meantime, so be it, right? I'm happy for you, but we'll reach back out to you, and if we get an opportunity that's within the time that you'd be looking to work. As far as what does the person, right? What's the individual look like that succeeds in this role? I always say it's folks that have the gift of gab, right? So naturally, Kimber, I think you'd be great at the job, but it's ultimately people that
I'll be in line with you.
Right. Yeah, I know. You're well past it already. But ultimately, we're looking for people that have the gift of gab, that can talk. We're looking for people that are competitive, folks that have prior sports experience or any kind of competition, right? That where you like to be number one. Anyone that flips the board game over if they're going to lose, so that it doesn't end. Sales may be for you. And so we like competitive folks. Being ethical is a requirement in this job, right? So we talked a lot about selling the right way. And I always tell my agents, putting your wallet in front of your customers' needs is not only unacceptable, but it's not tolerable for us. So not to sound threatening, but we are, when I put my head down at night and I think about the job that we do and the business that we run, I feel really good about it. And I want my employees to do the same thing. And so we want people that are comfortable talking. We like people that are good at building relationships, right? Essentially, we want long-term relationships with our customers. customers that we sell a policy today, often, all of our agents, this role, you have individual phone numbers. So you have a direct phone number you can give your customer to call you back directly. And so that means that you'll get future sales opportunities from those relationships you build, whether it's because they're purchasing a new home, whether it's because they know somebody that needs insurance. Having that direct phone number and then having that ability to build relationships builds an even larger pipeline than you already get, just by working for us naturally and taking calls out of the queue.
Okay. So if you're taking notes, this is really what you should have gathered from this. It's fully remote, it's full time with a consistent shift. Can you repeat the shift, Seth?
Yeah, so today it's 12:30 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
And I will say this, if you are so the three locations that we have, Knoxville, Tennessee, Richardson, Texas, and Spokane, Washington, I know it's throwing darts out there, but if anyone is close to one of those three locations, it is a shift that ends at 6 o'clock because the actual buildings close at 6 o'clock local time. So if you are in one of those locations, that ultimately you'd be able to apply right now and post into one of those shifts.
Okay, and the time zone one more time?
Yeah, 12:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern time for the remote job.
Perfect. Thank you. So those are the things you should be writing down. Also, we know that the benefits start day one. And we know that if you are comfortable talking to new people and you're great at building relationships, you don't have to have a sales background to succeed here. And we know military spouses are great at all of those things. We have to deal with the PCSs, the command changes, and having to make new friends at every move. So I know that you all have the life skills to accomplish that. Seth, what should our candidates be highlighting on their resumes when we're talking about their education experience? What do you want to see on those resumes?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, like I said, you don't need to have sales experience. You need to have insurance experience, right? So, what we like to see is consistent employment in the MilSpouse community. We get it, right? If you've been bounced around locations, and that means you've bounced around jobs, we look at that bouncing around with an asterisk, right? And to me, you are you're loyal to your country. We'll give you an asterisk on bouncing around jobs a little bit in that sense. But we're looking for folks that are consistently employed. Highlight in your resume any jobs you've had, working with customers face to face on the front line. Any kind of relationship management jobs you've had, anything that highlights your work ethic, right? It's a sales job. Ultimately, there's a bonus component to it. It's got a really nice, solid base salary. I always say it's not a job that I would it's a job that I would recommend to family and friends, and I would never recommend a job that's fully commissioned to family and friends. Really solid base salary, and then it's got a bonus component on top of it, right? So you want to make a really nice bonus every month, and so people that work hard and tend to be the folks at other jobs that carry the weight of that business on their shoulders. The nice thing about sales is that hard work is now going to benefit you personally in your pocket. So those are a couple of things that we look for.
Kimber, if you don't mind, let me just jump in because a lot of people in the chat are referencing, I think, the locations that were mentioned and everything. Know that the VirtForce team very shortly is going to actually drop an application link into the chat that will be hard-coded and identify you as a VirtForce applicant. So please, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And I apologize, we probably should have dropped that nugget a little earlier. But just know that we're going to talk about that. A few other questions have come up just about other jobs and so forth, and you'll hear in a few minutes. Kimber and I are going to get into a little bit of that dialogue as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know there's a few questions floating around in the chat.
Everyone's brain and intuition is moving in the right direction because here's the link. We've got it ready for you. If everyone is quite prepared to see the link that Seth has, Katie's going to drop it in the chat now. So if you will hold your chat, because as you enter entries into the chat, it's going to push this one up. So I'm going to ask everybody to please go heart and react to Katie's message that she just dropped. This is the position that Seth is talking about. It's going to have all of the requirements in it. It's going to have the job title, and it is the InsureMatch Insurance Advisor Trainee. So that is for the position that Seth just very thoroughly discussed. And that's what we're pointing our active duty spouses to. We find the most alignment with that role, what's going on in your life with the constant PCSing and the skills, aptitude, and ability that you have. This is a really great opportunity. Please use this link. We discourage you from going to Google and Googling the job and applying outside of this link, because at that point, the Travelers team doesn't know that you're a VirtForce candidate or that you were in this session today. We really want to make sure that if you're in this session and you're a part of this discussion that they know, hey, Shanice was in this call. And then I just saw Shanice apply. So this is great. This is our way to organize that for everybody, right? And it does also mark you as a VirtForce candidate.
Yes, and that's what's going to be really important, right, Kimber? Because I see that there's a message in the chat. Can we apply from states outside of those listed? Again, if you are a current active duty military spouse and you are looking for that fully remote arrangement that Seth had talked about, using that link to mark yourself as a VirtForce candidate is going to be important, because as Seth mentioned, we have offices, and this is going to get into a broader conversation, but again, I won't get too far ahead, Kimber, but I just want to throw this out there. This isn't just a remote opportunity for military spouses. So we hire in this sales advisor position throughout the year, and we have a large workforce sitting in our Knoxville, Tennessee office, our Richardson, Texas office, our Spokane, Washington office. And so what he was mentioning is that if someone lives local to those and wants to work local, because somebody had said early on in the conversation, I apologize, I don't remember which person it was, but that they missed the culture of working with people and everything. So if you are someone who lives in one of those locations and is looking for a hybrid work arrangement that would allow you to work local, but to answer the question as far as can you apply even if you're not in one of those? Yes, active duty military spouse looking for a remote work arrangement through that application link, tie it all together, and that will give us notification that you are on this call today and that you are a VirtForce member.
Yeah, super important. So that kind of brings us to our next topic, Julie, which is those people who are more stationary and are not actively PCSing. And so first of all, I want to say we have so much gratitude to the Travelers Insurance Organization. I know the entire country is experiencing the call to action to return to office, right? But Travelers has been very intentional about making sure that their active duty spouses still have the opportunity to work remotely. However, we want to talk to our individuals who are on the call today who are more stationary and might be near a Travelers facility and could actually participate on site. So probably includes you if you are a vet, a reservist, or a reserve spouse, and you're not actively moving as much as our active duty spouses are. So Julie, why don't I hand it over to you and let you talk to this group about these type of roles.
All right, you bet. Thanks, Kimber. And as you noticed, I started screen sharing, and I'm going to reference our career site in just a minute to give you some tips on how to navigate that so that you can look for other opportunities outside of the sales advisor role that might be a match for you. So the other thing was about flexibility. I know we didn't specifically talk to that. This might be disappointing for some. This job, it is full-time. It does have that set schedule. We work 5 days a week at Travelers. So you would know your schedule, but it is a full-time obligation. It isn't kind of come and go and make calls or take calls when you can. Obviously, whenever someone applies and if they have an opportunity to interview with us, that would be part of that discussion. But I just want to say that up front, because if you are someone looking for a very flexible schedule, can only work 2 hours here, 2 hours there, this might not be the right opportunity for you. So I just wanted to be forthcoming with that. But even though we've highlighted that InsureMatch sales advisor position, here at Travelers, we have a very prominent office footprint around the country. We have about 50 locations throughout the United States where we have hundreds, if not thousands, of employees working. Our corporate office is in Hartford, Connecticut. We have over 7,000, another large location in St. Paul, Minnesota, where we have several thousand, but then we're sprinkled in Houston and Richardson and in Denver and Southern California, Northern California and Spokane and Seattle and so forth. Doesn't mean every job that we offers a remote work arrangement, because as Kimber mentioned, like many other companies, we have embraced a hybrid work model. And so for most of our positions at Travelers, that means 3 days in the office and the ability to work remote 2 days. But if you are someone who you're stationary, and you know that you are living in and around Nashville, Tennessee, and that's where you're going to stay, and you want to look for travelers opportunities there, that's where I would direct you to our career site. So when you go to our career site, you can search by location. You can also search by area of interest. I noticed in the chat earlier, there were individuals saying, I would like a job in data analytics. I would like a job in claim. I would like a job in underwriting. So I'm just showing you here on our career site is just shy of 500 active job postings that people can apply for. Right here, third one down, are the categories. So if you were an individual and you would like to be a claims professional for travelers, that's a good way to start your search. But then also you would narrow it by location, right? So let's say you're living in and around Chantilly, Virginia. And so then it would allow you to see the opportunities there. Let me explain what this means. It might be like, well, but it says Baltimore, but it says Dover and Wilmington and so forth. Again, these are, this is a field position, as you can see from the title. So that's the geographic area it would cover. When you think of any of our claims position, if it has the word outside in it, it literally means out in the field, meeting our policyholders where they are to help them evaluate and recover from a loss that they incurred. And so anything, again, that says outside property claim, and if it lists other locations, that just means that's the geographic territory they have to cover in order to serve our policyholders that live in that area. Okay. And then something like this. I do not qualify for this because I do not have a legal degree and I am not very well versed on cyber technology. But let's pretend I was applying for this Cyber Associate Claim Counsel. It says that the position is in our Downers Grove office, which most of you might know is a suburb of Chicago. And then it says nationwide. But what nationwide means is it could sit at any one of the travelers' offices around the country. So again, I just want to do a little bit of terminology check here to help you navigate our career site so that hopefully you could find something. So if you know you're in a location and you know you want to be a claims professional at Travelers, and let's say you're in and around the Chicago area, then you want to use our search capability and identify a position that might be within the area that you could apply to. The other thing I will mention is that up here in the top right corner of our career site is join our talent community. If you don't see something today, this allows you to still drop your contact information so that we can push you a little bit of marketing material about Travelers if you want to stay connected. It does not take the place of you needing to still apply for a job that you're interested in, but it's at least one more way to stay connected. The other thing I'll just mention before I flip it back to Kimber is on our career site, there's a lot of great information, but under Life at Travelers, you see here there's a section called Benefits. And within that, I already have it pulled up, but there's a PDF document that talks about all of our benefits, everything from medical, dental, vision, the paid time off, the 401k and everything we talked a lot about today. I know it was a lot of information to take in. So I just wanted to show you a point of reference where you can go and peruse that information yourself when you have more time. Again, we're looking for people who want to build a career here. Not every job we have at Travelers offers the complete work arrangement, but it's a starting point, right? We talked about just taking this job with you as you PCS. And Catherine is one example of someone who has built a career here at Travelers, already experienced progression. We have others that have started in their role, maybe PCS. Then I think of one individual comes to mind. She and her now retired military spouse settled in the Chicago area. And so she works as a risk control professional in that market. So where you are today, doesn't necessarily dictate where you're going to be 3 or 5 years from now. And, like I said, Travelers been here for 170 years, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So I'll stop sharing, Kimber, so that I can give the mic back to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for sharing all of that. So what I'll say for those of you who are applying directly through the Travelers site for the hybrid and on-site positions, go ahead and give Katie a shout when you apply, because I'm not sure that there's a drop down for those, Julie. I'll get clarification for you on that.
You're right, Derek. So what'll happen is the source of like how you heard about the job. If there is an option to select VirtForce from kind of a drop-down menu, please do so. But if not, select the closest that applies. Let Katie know, because we're in constant communication with our VirtForce partners, so they can just give us a heads up as well.
So what you'll do is you'll email Katie and give her the title of the position that you applied for. If you got an application tracking ID or any type of data that can tie back to you, particularly the email address that you used to apply for the position, Katie will keep that on a spreadsheet and she'll give it to Julie. And basically that's our way of advocating for you and making sure they can see throughout their business enterprise where the veteran and military spouse populations are gravitating towards. All right, so if you have done that, Katie, drop your email in the chat. There's Katie's email. Everybody give her a heart on her email so everyone can see it. That's our job wrap. So I just want to clarify, because I know this is Zoom. I know computers are dying, phones are dying, people are coming in and out, but I want to clarify. We took a few moments to talk about the remote roles, and we're targeting those towards our active duty spouses who are, you know, in the population here who's desperately in need of remote career continuity. And then we took a few minutes to work with Julie to talk about all of the roles throughout the enterprise that are going to be stationed at one of their physical locations. And Julie said there are more than 50 in the United States. So that wraps that up. There was a link for the remote roles. I'm going to get Katie to drop it one more time. Oh, she already did it.
Hey, Kimber,
Yes.
can I just jump in with one more thing for us? So I just want to, folks that are applying to the insurance advisor role that I was speaking to, first of all, I'm going to say it one more time. It is remote, 100%. You can do that job remote. So if I confuse anyone, I apologize. But also, after you apply, you're going to get an email with an assessment that you have to take. The screeners cannot speak to you until you complete that assessment and pass it, right? So really important to just be on the lookout in your email. The application, you're not done yet. You still have to do that assessment in order to be able to move on to the interview phase.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I forgot to mention it. And that's one of the big hangups for our active duty spouse population who's trying to get into the InsureMatch role. That assessment could end up in your spam or your junk or your promotions folder. So if you don't see it and you don't take the assessment, your motor is dead in the water. All right. There's no moving forward until you take the assessment. It does take 18 minutes approximately. You will need to be alone in a room where you're quiet and you can focus and be on a desktop computer. So don't start it on your phone in the car, right? Those kinds of things will set you up for failure. So get your assessment completed, and then you can be screened for the InsureMatch position. Okay. So let me go through my recap notes one more time. We did drop the InsureMatch position at 1:03 p.m. So if you see 1:03 p.m. from Katie in the chat and lots of emojis under it, that's the InsureMatch position. All right. I want to make sure that, okay, if you leave this call with any information, I hope that it's this. Internal career mobility opportunities are huge. So even coming in through the InsureMatch arm, coming in through the insurance sales advisor role at InsureMatch, coming in through any position that you can get in with this company, they are big on the promote from within component. So please make sure that you are taking that information and sticking it into the part of your brain that helps you decide what to do next.
Awesome. Awesome. So hello, everybody. I'm Katie Castillo. So we are going to prioritize those of you who want to raise your hands to come on screen to ask your question to the Travelers and InsureMatch teams. Kim, you are up next.
I had written in the chat, but my question is kind of have two. As far as resumes, how open are you to those who have a lapse in employment because they've been home for 10 years taking care of a 100% disabled veteran? You know, obviously there's employment, but it's as a caregiver through the caregiver program. And also being a caregiver, I know it's a full-time position, but there are days where I need to rush my husband to the emergency room. So how open is this role in this company to things like that, like a medically fragile, 100% disabled veteran caregiver in one of these roles?
Yeah.
Well,
Kim, I can try to answer your questions as best
sure.
as possible. So let's talk first about your question about the resume. My good friend Jim McMahon, who's now retired from Travelers, he would say that even though you might not have the chronological timeline of employment history doesn't mean you haven't still been doing meaningful things, right? Maybe it is through like volunteerism or community work or caregiving, whatever the case might be. So I would say don't let that deter you if there's an opportunity to kind of beef up your skills and your strengths, like that section to kind of explain what are some of the skills that you feel you bring to the table. I would encourage you, to list them.
Okay.
Somebody's not quite on mute. So if you don't mind muting, I don't think it's you, Kim. And so I would say don't let that deter you. Try to still paint as, much of a picture as you can as far as what are the skills and everything you bring to the table. I mean, the other thing, it sounds like you have won a big heart, right? Because you probably work harder than any of us with the caregiving. I will say at the end of the day, in some of those situations, it's probably going to be like you might have to unexpectedly use a day of paid time off if you have to do it, right? Like we understand things like that. I don't want to speak directly to that today because if you worked for us consistently, for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden you had an unexpected thing, obviously we're going to work with someone. If it was every week for the first 30 weeks, then, we might have to reconsider if our obligation is the right one for you with your circumstances. I know just in partnering with Kimber over the years, she works with other companies too, and everybody has different flexibility, right? This is my spectrum, you guys. If you don't know what my hand movements are, some are very flexible, where people can kind of set their own schedules. Ours is a little less flexible in the sense that we have a pretty set work schedule. But again, we have the advantage of paid time off and things like that hopefully can support a person during those needs that might arise. So I hope that gives a little bit of an answer to your question.
Yeah, it's understandable.
All right, it looks like we have Chance. Go right ahead. You can come off mute and ask your question.
So my first question is, can you tell me a little bit more about your hiring process and how that all works? I want her to leave with some kind of help. And then on top of that, if you do get hired for a role and as you go and you do this role, if it is not meeting up with the expectations that Travelers has, is there a system in place where, you know what, you weren't really killing it at this role, but you know what, we would like to push you into another department that we think you're going to thrive in? Or is it kind of like a couple errors and you're done, for lack of a better terminology?
Yeah. Well, so a couple of things. So what is our hiring process? So first, you initially have to complete the online application and submit that. And then, as Seth had mentioned, you will get an email notification for this particular role because there is a preliminary assessment associated with it. And so you would need to complete that. And then if you successfully complete that, then your information is reviewed by our recruiting team. And then if you are selected for additional consideration, a recruiter would reach out. There, of course, would be an interview process, whether it be starting with our talent acquisition recruiters and then, people advancing to interviewing with the hiring team, people like Seth Miller, who you've met here today. And then, of course, once we identify candidates and make an offer, there's pre-employment background. So it's kind of, I hate to say pretty typical as far as the employment process, but that's probably pretty standard compared to a lot of companies that you apply for. Your other question, Chance, about, if it doesn't work out, what are the opportunities? That's kind of a loaded question that I can't predict. But I appreciate you asking, but let's just talk in hypotheticals a little bit. If a person does not pass the licensing in the time allotted, there's not a whole lot we can do, right? But if a person worked for us for maybe, let's say 6 months, 9 months, a year, and maybe something happened that, it's just not working out and they need to do something else. I mean, everybody that works here at Travelers has a human resources business partner, as well as, of course, the leadership team that you report into. And you would want to let them know your concerns. I can't say carte blanche. It's it's in or it's out, or yes, they will, or no, they won't. It really can be situational. If an individual is a hard worker and has demonstrated their commitment through great attendance and things like that, it makes it a little easier to work with that than maybe somebody who has struggled to, make a commitment to travelers and then just doesn't enjoy the job anymore. But I have to say, at the end of the day, every job that we have isn't remote, right? And just due to the nature of the work, right? We issue insurance policies and we pay claims. And so a lot of the work is tied to that. So, we don't make widgets and so forth. So I would say we'll work with you as best we can, but I couldn't sit here today and promise everything, not knowing what the specifics of the circumstance might be. So somebody had asked, what is the pay? I think that came up a couple times. If you go to our career site, it has on there a pay range. Please know that the pay range is it's broad because it covers the whole United States. Patrick, was there anything to share in general regarding the starting salaries for the sales advisor position, or not at this time?
Yeah, so we can, how I would describe it, it is somewhat geographically based. So it may vary depending on where you are in the country. But for the trainee role, the starting salary would be likely in the mid 40s as a base salary, but then there's a commission and incentive, as Seth had mentioned earlier, portion that generally is between 10 to 30,000, really depending on performance, depending on how well you do. That's for the trainee position. There are, as Kat mentioned and Seth has mentioned, when you have more tenure, you're promoted into the full advisor and then eventual senior advisor role. Those roles generally come with a compensation increase as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing that.
There are a couple questions about the assessment process for the trainee role in the chat, and if I can take it on as a whole. The assessment process, it is a behavior-based assessment. So don't think you have to study up on insurance sales. We're not going to, ask you the difference between, auto liability and property adjusting. What we are looking for, though, is individuals that exemplify or show that empathy, show that self-leadership, show that stick-to-itiveness. So as Kimber mentioned earlier, absolutely make sure you're in a place to concentrate and focus. Absolutely make sure you're in a place where you can complete the full assessment. If by chance you don't pass the assessment, you will be made aware, and there is a 6-month cool down period before you're able to retake that assessment. Okay. That said, I don't want that to discourage you from applying to other roles, even other roles that are potentially assessment-based roles within Travelers. Not every role is assessment-based. Most of our trainee type positions are. And the assessments will vary dependent upon the role. So as an example, if you see a claim trainee role, that assessment will be a different assessment than the sales advisor. So if you don't do well, or if the sales advisor just doesn't work out for you, I don't want that to discourage you, because we're not saying Travelers isn't for you. We're just saying we're not sure this is going to be the right fit today for this opportunity, but there are plenty of other potential opportunities that you would be qualified for. You could take those assessments, and we would consider you for.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. I see a question that just came through that has to do with that. So how soon does the assessment arrive in your email after you apply?
You should see it within the first 24 hours. But I would check your spam, check your inboxes. If after, let's give it a little grace, let's say after 72 hours, if you don't find it or if you don't see it, feel free to reach out. Katie will get you in touch with us and we could take a look. It's fairly infrequent, but I won't say we've never had a snafu. It is an automated process for us. You'll also get a reminder if you haven't taken it. You'll get a reminder to your email after 7 days. You'll get another reminder, I believe, after 30 days. So I also don't want you to feel like if I apply today, I have to take that assessment. I have to drop everything and do it now. If you want to be planful about it, if you're saying I have the time to apply, but I don't have the time to assess right now, but I could do that in a couple hours, that's okay. It's not one full swoop. They're two unique and distinct processes.
Awesome. Thank you. I see a couple people in the chat saying that they applied and they've already seen the assessment come through. So it should be pretty quick. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, let's move on to Vanessa. If you want to come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, so actually Julie and Patrick answered a lot of the questions that I had in regards to the assessment part, because I was curious, like if you would have a notification if it was approved, or if you passed. But I did have I know that Julie touched base on like the next steps once you applied, once you pass the assessment test. But I just didn't know if there was like something else that we could be proactive about, like just like email someone saying, hey, like I applied, I passed everything, just kind of waiting, or should we just be patient about it? But yeah.
Yeah, the recruiting team is in there fairly frequently. What I will tell you is it is a manual process. So I know everyone reads a lot about automation and AI. We still have recruiters looking at every single application that comes through. There is a scoring process, and that tends to take some time. Once you've scored, once you've assessed, we get your results. Generally, recruiters are in there multiple times throughout the week. So, my thought would be you should be receiving some sort of a communication within, 2 weeks of that application through the process. If not, I think at that point, I'd certainly want to know, and Katie can help you get in touch with myself and my team. But we have multiple people in there, real people looking at real applications and reading through it all. So.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then I did have one other question, if that's okay. Do you guys typically provide the equipment for those in those remote jobs, or do you just kind of have them figure it out?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely, we provide the equipment. We'll give you a laptop, a headset, a monitor, a keyboard, everything you need to be successful and be at your best. It was also alluded to earlier. We do have an actual process for when you PCS as well. We heard feedback early on in our relationship with Kimber and VirtForce, and early on, which was, hey, it's great that you support my move, but when I pack up my bag with my equipment, with everything else in my house, sometimes it takes a couple weeks to get to wherever I'm going. We don't want you to have to deal with that. You're actually probably, and I think in most cases, going to receive your equipment before you receive the rest of your household goods in your new place, because we're going to help you move it, because we want to at least take that one piece of instability as much as we can and help you out as best we can. But yeah, we'll provide all that equipment.
Okay, and then within that question, because I am in the midst of PCSing, so I completely get it. We're on like week 3 here, especially with the government shutdown. It's been fun. But what would you do in the midst? Is you just travel with your laptop and work off of your laptop, and that would be fine?
Yeah, we'll ship it for you. We'll ship it to wherever you are, or if Julie, you want to take that?
Yeah, let me jump in, because I think and I think Vanessa was asking, is she still working while she's trying to make the move? And honestly, Vanessa, that's going to depend on your manager and your HR business partner. They're going to work with you to coordinate that, because it might be that, hey, you don't need to take any of your PTO because you can continue to work, or it might be like, hey, this is a great time for me to take a week or 2 weeks of vacation. Or if it's extended, maybe you get approved for an unpaid leave of absence because you need a month off. I mean, there's so many different scenarios. So again, it'd be hard to answer that one today, but just know that you would want to let your manager and your HR business partner know as soon as possible, because of the several hundred now of mill spouses that we've employed. I think you would hear various stories as far as how their situation was handled, but it's very unique, right? Yours is even unique right now because you're trying to do it during a government shutdown, which God bless you. Kimber, if you don't mind, let me just answer one or two quick questions in here. Somebody had asked about seeing a remote position that shows cities in Southern California, but they're located in Northern California. Keep in mind, something that says remote, if it's claim, it means because you're in the field servicing our customers who live in that area. So if it shows a remote position, and my gut's telling me it's probably an outside claim representative. And if it shows cities in Southern California, you have to be living geographically in that area, because 4 out of the 5 days a week, you're traveling to our policyholders to examine the damage and help them process their claim. The other question I just wanted to jump on, and I know I'm talking fast because I know we only have 4 minutes left. Seth, they have asked some questions as far as flexibility, like with kid pickup and things like that, being parents that might need to pick up kids from school. You having managed people, I don't know, my natural gut says, well, you'd probably take lunch at that time, or maybe Catherine can jump in. You as a hiring manager and a manager of people, how have you addressed that with your employees if you've had that situation or that request arise?
So I think the answer is it depends. As everything is, right? So it depends on the specific situation. I can say we have plenty of folks that schedule lunches and breaks to get their kids off the school bus or whatever it is, and we are flexible to help move things around. You get a 30 or 45-minute lunch break and two 15-minute breaks throughout the day, right? And so we can try to line one of those up with the timing that you need. We try to be as flexible as possible with that stuff. So if it, as long as it fits into one of those time frames, we're going to work with you. But certainly don't let it, as long as it fits in those time frames, don't let it prevent you from applying. That's something that I always recommend. Bring it up on the interview, right? Let them know where your head's at, what you need from us in order to make this work, and my managers will be transparent with you.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So like Julie said, we have just a couple minutes left. So we're going to take one more question and then we'll see where we're at on time. But I think we've probably got about time for maybe one more question. So Orena, if you'd like to come off mute and ask your question. And I know you guys have been so engaged and had such wonderful questions this whole time, but we do have to let the travelers and Insure Match teams get back to their day. If we did not ask your question, answer your question, we're trying to get those in the chat. You can also reach out to us after the event for us to answer your question. So Orena, go right ahead.
Great. Last but not least, so I am the exception, not the rule, I guess. I am the business analyst upskilling into data analytics. Can you create a job alert, like if the job isn't available right now, or do we just take our chances and dive into that talent community pool?
Yeah, good question, Orena. I wish our system that we had was intuitive enough to alert you to say, hey, Travelers just posted a job that you're probably interested in. Unfortunately, we don't. So I'll just,
that's okay.
So yeah, but I would just say maybe just put a tickler to revisit our career site, maybe, once every few weeks or something, to see if there's anything new. But I apologize, there isn't. I wish it had that sophistication, but unfortunately it doesn't. So you'd want to just check back periodically to see if there's something up there that might fit your needs. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I think that's great because, Katie got the shout out to be the lifeline. So I'll just, try and stay in touch with Katie to make sure, if anything does come up, I can be connected.
Well, and I'm going to and Julie on that, because I do think I wish we had it, but absolutely join that talent community. We do use it. You will get communications. It's a big pool, but you'll get communications and it'll ask you your specialty, geographic preferences. And if you go in there and really kind of complete a profile out, especially in a role and a skill set like that, data and analytics, that type of role, which is fairly specialized, right?
Right.
Those teams are in there taking a look. Okay. So take a couple extra minutes and do it. It's not a perfect system, but it's the one we have.
Hey, well, at least you're real people looking at all the resumes.
You have the personality for sales. I know you're looking for something else, but call me.
Prior military, I'm a people person. Right now,
you can talk. I can tell.
I'm on sabbatical from being a people person.
Good luck.
Patrick, Julie, Seth, or Catherine, if there's anything that you want to come off mute and say to the candidates in the community before you go, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I just want to again reemphasize thanks. I know you guys have a lot of other priorities that you're balancing, and so take Thanks for taking this 90 minutes to spend with us and just hear more about us as a company and the positions that we have, and just wish all of you the best of luck with whatever path you might take, whether that's with Travelers or at another organization. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say ditto to that, right? Ditto seems like the perfect response. Yeah, but ultimately, good luck in your journey. I would just recommend that folks keep your mind open to sales and insurance opportunities. I always say that the insurance industry, nobody tends to go to college and say, hey, or any school and say, hey, when I grow up, I want to be an insurance agent. But it is a fantastic career. Myself, every manager on my floor, many of our support personnel started in this role that we're here talking to you guys about today, and that's how they got their start in their career. So be open-minded to it and get your foot in the door. There's a lot of opportunities in the insurance industry.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that. Again, I had 0 insurance experience whenever I started here, and they have been absolutely amazing at teaching me everything that I know today. And insurance is really cool because no matter what you think you know, you're constantly growing and learning. And InsureMatch definitely builds on that. So I definitely encourage you, if you don't have any experience or you're worried about that, you're coming to the right place.
All right, you guys, thank you so much, everyone. Please give them some gratitude in the chat. We're so grateful for you all. And at your convenience, you're welcome to leave the call. Our team will hang out and see if we can get any remaining questions answered and finish up our housekeeping for the end of our call.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody. So nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming and spending time with us, Travelers team. Okay, so we had 2 more people who had questions. We're going to attempt to get those answered. Katie, I'll let you finish those 2 with their hands up.
You got it. So let's see. I know Julie has had hers up for a while. So Julie, why don't you come off mute and you can ask your question. We'll see if we can answer it for you.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. So I'm actually finishing my degree, and it's been, back and forth for years just because of moving and different things. But I really am interested in this position. I feel like it would be a great fit for me, but it won't work with my schedule coming up for the next 2 semesters. So I just wanted to know how often, because you guys have mentioned that you work with travelers a lot, how often do these kind of positions come up and things like that, so I can plan for future, hopefully working with them?
That is a great question. So we've had this particular role several times in the last year, I believe, or at least once or twice. Let's say Kimber or Felicia might have better numbers for me, but it's a role that we've had previously. And so I do anticipate we'll get it again. We also share roles on the VirtForce job board from travelers frequently throughout the year as well. Okay.
Yeah. We just say, make sure you're on our email list and you have alerts turned on, maybe even a rule in your inbox for the word travelers, so that you get notified when these populate. It ebbs and flows with the state of the job market, and it ebbs and flows with everything. So we've had times where it's been every quarter, and then we've had times where it's been once a year. So it will come around again for sure. That's for certain. But when that happens, we don't know. We'll have to have alerts turned on.
Of course, I'll definitely do that. Thank you both for your answer.
Yeah, thank you, Julie, and good luck finishing out those last 2 semesters.
Thank you.
For anyone who does need the VirtForce job alerts, like for getting those travelers ones, I did just drop the sign up form for emails in the chat if you need that.
Okay. What did you think? Tell me in the comments if you want to apply for Travelers Insurance. And of course, if you are applying, please use the VirtForce job link that's in the show notes, or email Katie, Kaiti at virtforce.us to let us know that you watched our video and you're applying for one of the positions. Again, my name is Kimber Hill, and I invite you to smash the subscribe button, turn on your alerts, because we are producing content like this all the time at VirtForce. This has been another amazing installment of my Military Spouse Lifestyle Show. I'll see you in the next one.